This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Tan Dijuan's words were filled with coldness, which made many people feel cold. Some warriors even backed away with ashen faces. Tan Dijuan, don't scare people here, said Gao Lin coldly. Since everyone had come here, they had all planned to exchange their lives for money. I don't know how many people have died on the way here. If there were any who were afraid of death, they would have retreated long ago. His words immediately gave many people the courage to gather around. Great. Tan Dijuan laughed. Since you're not afraid of death, I'll give you a share. Let's see if you can live to the end. Yun Xiao. He reached out to Yun Xiao and said, give me the map. Yun Xiao frowned slightly as Xindeo's domain pressed down on her. Han Xian gave a muffled grunt, and her face was filled with pain as she suffered internal injuries. However, she only gritted her teeth and refused to make a sound. Your girl is very considerate of you, Tan Dijuan said. Li Yun Xiao, I really don't want to fall out with you. We've known each other for a long time, and I admire you very much. Yun Xiao took out the treasure map and threw it over. He smiled indifferently and said, if you offend me, you'll probably be finished. You're too arrogant. Tan Dijuan took the treasure map, and his eyes were alert. He looked at it carefully and confirmed that there was no problem with it. Then, he put it away with relief and said, young Master Yun, we're still friends. You kidnapped my friend, and now you say we're friends? Yun Xiao said. Are you kidding me? Tan Dijuan forced a smile and said, I had no choice. I hope you don't take it to heart. If there really is a treasure down there, young Master Yun will definitely have a share of it. Yun Xiao still had the Thunder Transformation Divine skill, and Tan Dijuan did not want to completely ruin their relationship. At the very least, he could stabilize Yun Xiao's situation. Let's see how big the prize is, Yun Xiao snorted. Let's see. The others were all envious when they saw the treasure map, but Gao Lin urged, since the map of the maze has already appeared, finding the treasure source is definitely not a problem. Sect Master Tan, since the map is in your hands, please lead the way. Tan Dijuan retreated behind the people of the Big Dipper sect and began to look at the map, lost in thought. Tan Dijuan, yelled Gao Lin, since we're working together to find the treasure, we should share the map and study it together. That's right, President Qian's words make sense. Sun Jiming immediately agreed. Now that they were closely united with the New Moon sect, and the Big Dipper sect was becoming more and more powerful, they faintly felt that something was wrong. Tan Dijuan didn't even bother to pay attention to the two. After he finished reading the map, he imprinted the information on it into his mind. After that, under everyone's shock, he directly used his elemental energy to crumple the titanium paper into a ball and kept it in his ring. No need, I've already seen it. Since everyone said that we're going to work together, you should naturally trust this lord. If you don't trust me, then you don't have to follow me. This, you fuck. Gao Lin was instantly dumbfounded. However, the treasure map had already been crumpled into a ball and no longer existed. It was too late to say anything. Sun Jiming and Xiao Minghui's faces were also gloomy. They looked at each other and showed extreme dissatisfaction. Let's go. Don't waste time. If you want to work together, then come at me together. Tan Dijuan showed a malicious smile and led the way, flying into the black hole. The people of the Big Dipper sect also let go of Han Xian and entered one after another. Mei Dong gave Yun Xiao a look and said, young Master Yun, you must be careful. Money is just a worldly possession. It's better not to take this risk. I'll be careful, Yun Xiao said with a smile. You should be careful too. Mei Dong nodded her head heavily and followed Xindio and the others into the black pit. Everyone, what should we do? Are you going or not? Xiao Minghui said seriously, the three of us went to check it out earlier. The complexity of the tunnel was amazing. There were a lot of bones and all kinds of traps in the tunnel. Without a map, it's difficult to find the end. Sun Jiming said, of course we have to go. Otherwise, no one would be willing to let the Big Dipper sect obtain such a huge treasure. Now that Zhang Linghua had broken through to the rank of a Marshal Supreme, the Big Dipper sect would truly be above everyone else if they were to obtain this treasure. Not only will the Chamber of Commerce be pushed out, but the local forces will also suffer. Xiao Minghui also had this concern, and said, but Tan Dijuan is the only one who has seen the map, and he has memorized the real roads and all kinds of traps. If they play tricks, we'll all be in danger. Sun Jiming replied, you're wrong. There's another person who has seen the map. He knows the correct path. The crowd was taken aback, and then all their eyes fell on Yun Xiao. Not bad. Young Master Yun, you should know the way. That's good. Xiao Minghui was delighted. With Tan Dijuan leading the way, and young Master Yun behind, we won't be wrong. That's a good idea, Yun Xiao said. Although I have the map with me all the time, I'm a lazy person, and I usually don't look at it carefully. How could he remember the marks and roads on it? Moreover, as you all said, this maze is too dangerous. I think it's best that President Han Xian and I take our leave first and won't participate in this matter. A sense of powerlessness welled up in Sun Jiming's heart. He knew that Yun Xiao was going to take advantage of him again, so he said helplessly, cut the crap. Young Master Yun, just state your conditions. It's so much easier to talk to smart people. I don't know if the treasure really exists, Yun Xiao said with a smile. Even if it does, I can't compete with you, big shots. It's very dangerous to ask me to help you verify your Dao path. I won't do it without 50 billion primeval stones. Sun Jiming was furious and said coldly, 5 billion. No bargaining. Otherwise, I'll have to ask guild leader Luan Xian to lead the way. Han Xian trembled in anger, but she couldn't do anything. At the thought of being a burden to Yun Xiao all the way, he felt very sad, but he was also very touched. Like Ding Ling. She was a hero among women and a famous strong woman in the merchant union. However, no matter how strong she was still a woman. When no one was around, she still had her fragile side and longed for someone to protect her. Yun Xiao's face turned cold, and the temperature around him dropped with his mood. The experts felt a chill and were shocked. Yun Xiao reached out his hand and pointed at Sun Jiming as he said coldly, there are a few things that I hate the most. One of them is to use my friends to threaten me. There have been people who did this in the past, but I later killed their entire family. Magnet. Everyone felt a great chill in their hearts. In the realm of heavenly martial arts, it was not uncommon to kill an entire family, which happened every day. However, when this kind of thing came out of the mouth of a young man, it gave people an indescribable fear. And from the look in his eyes that looked down on the common people, the signal that he was saying was true. Sun Jiming swallowed his saliva with great difficulty and exhaled a cold breath. He said awkwardly, young Master Yun, you're taking this too seriously. I was just joking. But 50 billion is too much, how about 8 billion? What do you think? He had subconsciously lowered his attitude, and he didn't dare to haggle as he had said. Say the wrong thing, Yun Xiao said coldly. Your entire family will die. This kind of thing, everyone better remember clearly, I will never forgive you again. Everyone was shivering, especially Gao Lin and the other martial supremes. Besides the cold air that attacked their bodies, they were also extremely shocked. After they reached the rank of a martial supreme in the 8 desolate realm, they were able to comprehend the rules of heaven and earth. They could even use the power of the rules to form their own territory. Within the territory, they were the only one who could rule. This was the origin of the term martial supreme. However, such a powerful martial Dao intent had actually caused his entire body to shiver from the other party's few words. This Kasaya. All the martial venerables present were drenched in cold sweat. This situation terrified them even more than the pressure in Yun Xiao's tone. They suddenly had a vague feeling that at this moment, their biggest opponent was not Tan Dijuan, but Yun Xiao, who was extorting them. Sun Jiming heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He knew that the other party had let him off the hook just now. He said in a sullen tone, "Don't worry, people of my generation are all brave and dauntless men." How could he be like Tan Dijuan, shamelessly using a woman to threaten young Master Yun? Such a shameless behavior brings shame to our generation. After he finished speaking, he felt the strange gazes of the people around him, and his face turned red in embarrassment. "Yes," Yun Shao said. "Everyone in Southfire City knows Sect Master Sun's character, and I trust him. But I'm someone who cherishes my life when it's a life and death risk. 8 billion primeval stones might not be a small amount, but I still need to be alive to spend it. How about this? On account of the good weather today, I'll give you 10 billion. I really can't give you any less. And you have to pay in cash. 10 billion medial grade primordial stones?" Sun Jiming smiled bitterly. Who would have so much cash on them? "I don't care," Yun Shao said. "Southfire City is your territory. When the treasure is dug out, who can I ask for money from when I return? It's fine to use some heavenly treasures as a substitute." Sun Jiming and the others were speechless. They walked to the side and started discussing secretly. "What?" Gao Lin said angrily, "That kid doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Does he think he's a child playing house? He's taking 10 billion primordial stones just like that. Even if I want to use such a large sum, I'll have to gather all the elders of the Chamber of Commerce and discuss it before making a decision." Sun Jiming snorted, "What's the point of complaining? If you have the ability, go and tell him, don't forget how Fong Tianhe died. Fong Tianhe's life was not just 10 billion primeval stones. Do you think that our lives are not worth Fong Tianhe's? You've been in this maze before, and you know it better than us. If Tan Dijuan did something to it, how confident are you that you can get the treasure and even escape?" Gao Lin was silent. He said hatefully, "All right. I'll let that kid be proud for a while, but I'll get back at him sooner or later. The Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce will pay 1 billion for the 10 billion. President Qian, you're joking, right?" Xiao Minghui sneered. If the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce only offered 1 billion, who would offer the remaining 9 billion? You still have many Chamber of Commerce alliances behind you, so you should at least bear 8 billion. We'll think of a way to get the remaining 2 billion. That's right, that's how it should be. Sun Jiming also nodded in agreement. As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Almost all the merchant unions guilds in Southfire City are here. 8 billion is a piece of cake. He lost his temper and sighed, "You too, I think you really don't have any sincerity. You're still thinking of scheming against me at this time. The current situation is no longer a battle between you and the merchant union. We should all work together to deal with the Big Dipper sect. If the Big Dipper sect becomes big, I'm afraid the first step will be to swallow all of you. Although our Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce will be weakened, we're still one of the 7 leaders of the merchant union. Does the Big Dipper sect really dare to start a war with us? I've discussed this with the merchant union, and will bear 5 billion for this 10 billion. If you still refuse, then this matter is over, and I'll go back home." Sun Jiming and Xiao Minghui's eyes darkened. What Gao Lin said was right, and he hit their soft spot. After looking at each other, Sun Jiming said in a deep voice, "All right, then we'll each take on half of it. We'll each offer 5 billion. Xiao Minghui glanced at the lone cultivators at the outermost perimeter and frowned. "What about these people? Don't tell me we can't make them pay a drop of blood and get the benefits for free?" "These paupers," sneered Gao Lin, "do you think you can extort a single primeval stone from them?" He turned around and went to discuss with the other associations of the merchant union. Xiao Minghui shook his head helplessly. It was indeed impossible for those itinerant martial artists to pay primordial stones. He immediately started discussing with Sun Jiming. The two of them started to wrangle endlessly again, hoping that the other party would have more. The overall efficiency was quite high. Everyone was afraid that the people of the Big Dipper sect would seize the first opportunity and grab the primordial stones, so they did not care about the small amount. Soon, they had gathered 10 billion mid-grade primordial stones and handed them to Yun Shao. Oh. Yun Shao was surprised. You really have so many yuan stones with you? It seems that I'm still too kind. The merchant union and the local tyrants are indeed rich. Don't be so polite next time. Li Yunxiao. Gao Lin said angrily, don't go too far. They may be afraid of you, but my Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce isn't. Yes, I understand. Let's go. Yunxiao smiled. Han Xian, come with us, he said to Han Xian. I'll be worried if you stay outside. Han Xuan's heart was warm, but she still felt uncomfortable. I'm sorry, young Master Yun. I've been a burden to you all this time. Yunxiao laughed. It's all thanks to you and me that we've earned so many origin stones. TSK, 10 billion, I hope you can drag me down a few more times. The rest of the people followed behind, their faces dark and their eyes gloomy. Under Yunxiao's lead, all of them went deep into the black hole. It was pitch black inside, but it did not affect their vision. Moreover, the hole was very wide, not as narrow as they had imagined. The entire passage was built with huge stones. Stepping on it, one could see that it was made of the fourth-tier material, diamond jade, which was exactly the same as the materials used for the arena in the Big Dipper sect competition. Moreover, the passage was more than 2 meters high, and some of the burly men didn't feel crowded. It seems that it really is the treasure of the North Scorpion sect, Yunxiao said. This labyrinth is so magnificent. It must have cost a lot of resources to build it. He touched the surrounding walls with his hand and said, these were all cut by sword chi, otherwise it would be impossible for them to be so smooth. It seems that the Big Dipper sect had to use a large number of martial artists to build this passage. Sun Jiming said, that's right. From the looks of it, the cost of building it will not be lower than that of the 10 arenas. Look at these bones. Judging from the time, it does seem to be the time when the North Scorpion sect took out the treasure. I wonder if there are any left. Everyone looked at the broken bones in the passage that led to the depths of the darkness. They felt a sense of desolation in their hearts, not knowing if they would be the next one. After stepping onto the path of martial arts, he had long been aware that he could fall at any time. The atmosphere in the passage gradually became somewhat oppressive. Hundreds of people walked through it, but there was no other sound other than the sound of silent walking. Something's wrong. Yunxiao suddenly shouted and stopped. The people around him were all startled by the sudden voice. Gao Lin frowned and said, what's wrong, he asked. No. Yunxiao said seriously, I'm definitely not in the wrong place. I remember the route on the map very clearly, but the passage is wrong. What do you mean the passage is wrong? It doesn't matter if you remember wrongly. You can just walk through it again, Sun Jiming said. Yunxiao shook his head and said, I've been feeling strange along the way. I keep feeling that something is wrong. Can you see how many people are still here? Everyone was stunned, not knowing what was going on. Gao Lin and the other two looked back and were immediately shocked. They exclaimed in horror, how could this be? Where is he? The group behind him was actually shortened by more than half. By visual inspection, there were only about 50 people. Magnet. Xiao Minghui gasped and said in shock, how did this happen? This time, everyone was shocked, especially those at the back. They were originally standing at the front of the line, but now they had become the back. They didn't even notice how the people around them were. Han Xian also felt a chill in her heart. She hurriedly grabbed Yunxiao's arm, and only then did she feel a little warmth and security. Gao Lin was also a little scared, and he said in shock, what's going on? Didn't I already tell you? Yunxiao said. The passage is wrong. Please explain clearly, said Gao Lin. 10 billion primordial stones, Yunxiao said. I'm only responsible for leading the way. I'm not responsible for spreading knowledge. Everyone. Sun Jiming suppressed the urge to slap him to death and said, young Master Yun, aren't you being too unkind? Everyone's private property has already been exploited by you. Even the Thunderwind Chamber of Commerce is not as black as you. Old bastard Chu, do you want to die? Yelled Gao Lin angrily. All right, Yun Xiao said. I'll lose all the way. I hope that when we find the treasure later, you can give me more on account of my hard work. Sun Jiming's face was full of black lines. Hurry up and tell me. I'll definitely give you more. There's a very interesting martial technique in your eastern region called acupoint shifting, Yun Xiao said. Have you heard of it? Sun Jiming nodded and said, of course, this isn't a profound martial technique. I'm sure everyone here knows it. It's just the circulation of essence force to change the movement of the meridians and acupuncture points in the body. But what does this have to do with the passageway? Yun Xiao smiled and said, it'll be easier to explain if you know such a martial technique. This channel is equivalent to the hundreds of extraordinary meridians in the human body. Those people just now were moved away by the shifting of acupoints. What? Everyone was shocked, their faces blank, unable to understand what this meant. How can the passageway shift positions? Asked Gao Lin with a frown. Because this passage is alive. Yun Xiao said. It's a living passage. A living passage? Everyone was shocked. Sun Jiming laughed coldly and said, young Master Yun, I know you like to be weird, but this joke is not funny at all. It's not funny because it's not a joke. Yun Xiao said seriously. This passage is alive. His words were firm and decisive, causing everyone to shiver. Han Chuan's grip on his arm tightened. This passage is actually an array, Yun Xiao continued. The Southern Fire Crystal Gold Mine in the entire mountain range is the source of energy, and it has been maintaining its operation for thousands of years. That map should be incomplete. If we cut off the surrounding mineral veins, we can use the map to continue forward, but the formation is constantly operating, so a dead map is completely useless. Sun Jiming asked, then what should we do? Should we go out now to cut off the mine vein? I've already performed the displacement and acupoint switching technique, Yun Xiao said with a smile. Can you still walk out of here? Xiao Minghui said, then what should we do? Young Master Yun didn't look nervous at all, so he must have a way. However, are those who were shifted away in any danger? I'm not nervous because I have 10 billion primordial stones with me, Yun Xiao said. It's enough for me to use here for more than 10 years. Young Master Yun, stop joking. Xiao Minghui said. Now, everyone had the urge to strangle Yun Xiao to death, but they could not. Yun Xiao chuckled and said, follow me, everyone. Keep up with me. Don't get shifted again. If you are teleported to another passage, I really can't do anything. He explained, these passages are all connected to the center of the array source. They absorb the energy from the Southern Fire Crystal Gold Mine. All the energy comes from the array source. As long as I can sense the energy fluctuations, and combine it with the map in my mind, it won't be difficult to find the central array source. Energy fluctuations? You can sense such a weak energy fluctuation? Asked Gao Lin in shock. I can't sense it in the air, of course, Yun Xiao said. But the fluctuation of the artifact rhythm of these Vajrajades is disturbed by the energy of the Southern Fire Golden Crystal, and some changes will occur. Follow these changes and walk to the center of the array source. Young Master Yun. Xiao Minghui was secretly surprised and praised, you are indeed a 7th-tier great alchemist. Only then did the crowd remember that this man had an even more terrifying identity, a 7th-tier great alchemist. Looking at the young man in front of them, thinking of his appalling combat strength, and his identity as a 7th-tier alchemist, all of them felt extremely depressed and desperate. With such a huge difference, it was simply impossible to live. Slowly, Yun Xiao sensed the fluctuations of fire element coming from the wall and began to slow down. At this time, in order to not be left behind and teleported away, the martial artists behind all took out their weapons and held tightly to each other. Finally, more than 50 people were not left behind and slowly moved forward. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, the passage suddenly opened up, and an extremely strong heat wave hit them in the face. The whole world became red, and the liquid Southern Fire Crystal Gold was flowing in front of them.